it down there. Oftentimes when I leave downtown Columbia to head back to Florence, I take a shortcut. I've figured out a little shortcut that gets me over to I-20 a few minutes faster so I can go east and go home. I take Beltline, which turns into 2 Notch, and 2 Notch gets me right there at I-20 and I come east. Or when Beltline crests the top of the hill, it turns into 2 Notch. You move along a stretch for the next mile or so that I would call used car haven. I mean, along that stretch on both sides of the road are used car dealerships and have been for as long as I can remember. There was also franchise dealerships sprinkled in there across the years, but most of those have moved out to the interstates and suburbia where all the people are now. And what's left are used car dealership lots. And unfortunately, there's a lot of open spots through there right now because of what's going on in the economy. I go through there so frequently, I don't notice the change that happens there. I get real accustomed to what's there. Sometime recently, as I crested the hill at Beltline and it turned into 2 Notch, I noticed for the first time a sign that I'm sure has been there for a while, I just hadn't noticed it before. It was up on the right-hand side of the street. It was a brilliant colored sign. It had a yellow background, it had lots of reds and blues and greens on it, and it caught my attention. I'm blocks away from it. It appeared atop the other signs that day at least, and I made an assumption that it must be a sign in a dealership lot. As I got closer to that sign, it became apparent to me that every word on that sign was in Spanish. Now, I don't speak Spanish and I don't read Spanish, and I do most times embarrass my children when I go to Mexican restaurants and I try to engage in conversation with the waitstaff who may be Spanish, just trying to be hospitable and courteous, and my teenage children duck their head and nudge me in the side. Stop it! She's in my school in class. She speaks perfectly good English. I see the sign in Spanish. You know what I do for a living. I'm with you all day. You know what I do. As I got closer to that sign, these are millisecond kinds of decisions. I'm thinking, no training. All the words in the sign are on Spanish. I bet they don't have any Spanish-speaking buyers, a Spanish version of the buyer's guide on their cars. I couldn't see that for sure just yet. You know, you have the id and the odyssey experience. You know, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? I'm having all that going on inside my mind's eye. As I got closer to the driveway, the car almost it was out of control. I'm pulling to stay on the road and the car's pulling to go into the parking lot. Before I knew it, I'm on that dealership lot. I parked the car. I opened the door. When I opened the door, just as on your car, there's a little bell that ding, 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 ding. I'm still not sure why we put that on the car, but it must be to tell people we're here. Because somebody heard the bell ringing. I couldn't see him. I can only assume he could see me. I knew the minute the bell rang and this particular person engaged me that I was back home in good old South Carolina. Because from somewhere in the abyss on that lot, someone beckoned to greet me from a distance and said, "Hey, Bo!" Any chance there are any Spanish versions of the buyer's guide on that lot? Any chance anybody spoke Spanish on that lot? The whole market for that dealership lot, the business model, are the troops at Fort Jackson, which is about a mile away. Their whole purpose in being a business is to extract troops from that post whom are from countries where Spanish would be primarily the first language, and get them to come over there and buy a car. And nobody speaks Spanish, and they didn't know anything at all, obviously, about the Spanish version of the buyer's guide. That's not an out-of-the-picture kind of example. Can you imagine what FTC is going to do when they show up in South Carolina?